Hello and welcome everyone to our special International Museums Day newsroom. We are joined, and I'm really excited that we're joined today by Bethany Halloway and Peter Minshall from Loughborough Carillon Museum. Bethany has agreed to interview Peter today for International Museum Day, and what a fitting theme for this year's event, which is Recovery and Reimagine. I'm going to hand over to Bethany now, who's going to take the lead on the interview. Over to you, Bethany.
Hi. So, Peter, would you be able to tell us a little bit about your role at the museum?
Yes, Bethany, I am privileged to be a trustee and on the executive committee, so I have a great interest in the future of the Carillon and its role in the community. I'm also a volunteer guide, so I'm able to meet visitors and delight in answering their questions and showing them around our unique museum.
Awesome. So what would you say that your favourite part about the role is that you have?
I think the favourite is obviously meeting people and making certain that they gain the maximum time whilst their visit, and that is, if they go away feeling that they've learnt something, then that's what I find really of interest to me. That's what keeps me coming back and wanting to do more, helping people to appreciate what a unique museum we have in Loughborough.
Yeah, of course. So, over the last 18 months, obviously with the pandemic, how would you say that how would you say that the everything's going towards opening back up, everything, all the plans and everything are going?
I think we have to admit that it's been a very difficult time. Just before the pandemic, we were in the process of trying to upgrade our museum, and we'd applied to lottery funding to try and achieve that aim. We'd taken out all the old cabinets, so we're pretty empty at the moment. And until we get our funding, it means that we can't give the full appreciation of the museum. We are trying to make certain that part of the museum, and certainly the ground floor, is able to be seen by visitors, and we also obviously still have the main part, which is the main part as I'm concerned, is the fact that it is a carillon, and so that visitors can really appreciate what a carillon is.
Okay. So as you know, the theme for this year's International Museum Day is Recovery and Reimagine. How important do you think that it is for the museums in terms of engagement and interaction with your visitors and any new audiences that might come along?
I believe young people are, by their very nature, our future audience, and it's vital that we adapt and embrace every opportunity to engage with young people and encourage them. Otherwise, it's no good having a museum that is only seen and only appreciated by the older generation. The younger generation are the future, and they will have different ideas on how they gain that knowledge and information. Whereas older people might be happy to just see objects in a cabinet, younger people want more. They want to be able to see it, particularly on the newer platforms and things like that. So that is definitely the future.
Okay, so I think this question kind of relates to your answer there. So obviously we have been working with you with the Digital Personas project. As you know, we're carrying out some community engagement activities for the Carillon, for the museum. How important do you feel it is for the museum's development to have opportunities for the younger people?
I think it's tremendously important, and as I said in my previous point, it needs to engage with that. Most of our volunteers don't really understand what all this new technology. I'm lucky that I've been trying to embrace that in my other work. So yes, it's terribly important.
sorry. So you guys have very special talents, and now you are one of the handful of individuals that can actually play the carillon. Can you explain for the people that are unsure of what it is, actually how it works and what it is that you have to do to play it?
The carillon, to most people, they think is a tower, and they say, well, there's some bells up there. So they assume that it's very similar to a church, and the church will have bells. But the fact that the church and a carillon both have bells is just about the only thing that they do have. We have, in that tower that you can see in the background there, at the top of that tower, there are 47 bells, ranging in weight from 4.5 tons right down to very small bells. And with that, it means that we can play any melody, any piece of music that you can play on a piano or an accordion. We can assimilate that on a carillon. And the way it is played is, I suppose, similar to an organ and such like, but instead of keys, you have wooden batons, which I have to strike with my fists. So those wooden batons, and every one of those wooden batons is connected to a bell in the bell tower. So with that ability, you can play wonderful music. But of course, it's a very big instrument. In fact, a carillon is the biggest instrument in the world. It also means that if you're playing it, everybody hears every mistake, because if I play a wrong note, everybody in the park would know. So you have to be careful what you do with it. It's the 97-year-old instrument, and so it has to be treated with great respect. And the reason I started playing it was because I realized that a lot of people were coming, and the only time they could actually listen to it was when our borough coroner, Caroline Sharp, was able to play it, and that only happened twice a week. She was contracted to play on a Thursday for an hour, on a Sunday for an hour, and even during the times that that was the times when we were open. The rest of the year, she only was able to play once a month. So I had visitors coming in when she wasn't playing, and they were very disappointed. Some of them had come all the way from Australia specifically to hear the carillon. So they really were disappointed that they couldn't hear it. So I thought, well, I ought to try and do something about this, which is why I put myself on a pedestal. And I was lucky enough to get the agreement of the Borough Council. And as you probably know, I'm one of only 3 people that are privileged enough to be able to allowed to play it. So that is what I'm doing, and that is what I will do once we get back into the tower and hopefully have visitors back.
I mean, that is incredible, yeah. And for anyone that wants to see Peter playing, we have some videos on the Carillon social media accounts, so everyone's welcome to head over to those and check it out. And finally, how can people hear the carillon and find out about any upcoming performances, if there are any planned? Or
in the museum, the Charnwood Museum, they do sell our DVD, which I made with Caroline. I produced this because, again, I thought there's a gap in the market. So this DVD is a musical melody, and this has proved to be quite popular. So that's one opportunity. And of course, we have examples on our website as well. I think that you can find that. And of course, come into the park and listen.
yeah, of course. I think that's all the questions now from me. So thank you for the great answers.
Thank you.
That was absolutely wonderful to hear the wealth of experience and knowledge that Peter has. And
Definitely,
again,
yeah.
I think from some of the other projects that we've been working with, it's just so great to showcase and allow volunteers like Peter, who give up their time and are so passionate at actually spotting things that they can do in their own lives that actually benefit, you know. So if you weren't prepared, Peter, to put your, you know, yourself out there and self-learn, self-teach yourself, you know, how to play that instrument, you know, all those people would miss out and not get the opportunity to be able to celebrate such an amazing part of the local community and Loughborough's history.
Yes. Obviously, I can't play it to the degree that our Carolyn Earl plays it, but nevertheless, it has been a privilege to do that. I can give you one example when a group of children came there and they had learning difficulties, and they all came into the clavier room, and I was able to play them my little favorite Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and the reaction on their faces, the teacher said it was so emotional. They really did all come alive just because it was so different for them and so unique for them. So that really makes me feel, you know, I'm actually doing something to help their lives.
And I think people like you across the country, Peter, are a fundamental part of ensuring that our museums and the country's heritage are able to be accessible for young people like that. You know, so thank you so much for all the work you do out there, and thank you very much for taking the time to be interviewed today.
It's a privilege. Thank you.